What's up, Car Squad fam, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Derek and I do car reviews. Today we'll be checking out this 2013 Scion TC. Now this is part of the second generation TC, which ran from 2011 to 2016 and received a facelift for the 2014 model year. Now back in 2013, a base automatic TC like this had a starting MSRP of $19,725. Now this one, being 12 years old, has 133,000 miles. Today, I'll give you a tour around the exterior and interior of the vehicle, then I'll put you in the driver's seat for a point of view drive, and finally, I'll wrap it up by giving you my thoughts on the vehicle and seeing how it's held up after 12 years and 133,000 miles. And one other thing, I am located up here in the Northern California Bay Area, so if you've got a vehicle up this way that I can review, please shoot me an email at the address listed here. Thanks. So starting off up front here in the engine bay, you'll see the 2.5 liter inline-4 which powers this vehicle. It has 180 horsepower and 173 pound-feet of torque. Now this was up from the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine found in the first generation TC, which produced 160 horsepower and 163 pound-feet of torque. Now this is a front-wheel drive, and while this one has a 6-speed automatic transmission, they were also available with a 6-speed manual. Fuel economy is rated at 23 miles per gallon in the city and 31 on the highway for a combined 26 miles per gallon. During an Edmunds test of a 0 to 60 run, an automatic TC did 0 to 60 in 8 seconds, while a manual did it in 7.3. All right, so moving around to the back of the vehicle, one interesting thing is there is no trunk release from the interior of the vehicle. So up by the driver's seat, there's no button there to release this trunk. So you just come back here, there's a button underneath here, and you can lift this up. It is a hatchback, so you do have a good amount of space back here. Underneath this floor mat, you will find your spare tire and your jack and tools, as well as some little small storage compartments. With that floor mat down, there are 2 smaller exposed compartments as well. If you needed to haul larger items around, you of course have the option to drop these back seats down like so, and that gives you a very good amount of space to haul items around for a car that is this size. Pretty impressive. All right, so moving into the driver's seat of the vehicle, I am 6'1", and I'm able to find a very comfortable driving position here. The seats are very well bolstered, and after 133,000 miles, the seats in the interior in general has held up very well. Everything feels very sturdy. The steering wheel, all these buttons here, very well built car. Now, as far as adjusting the seat, it's just manual adjustments. Of course, underneath the front of the seat, you have a lever that allows you to slide the seat forward and back. On the side of the seat here, this latch will allow that seat back to move forward and back. And then with this lever, that'll allow you to raise the seat itself up or down. On the door itself, you of course have your window controls, your lock and unlock, and your window lockout button. And then down below that, you do have a small pocket here for some storage. And as the sign shows, a water bottle. And then to the left of the steering wheel, you've got your left and right mirror controls. On the steering wheel itself, on the left side, you've just got some simple audio controls here, not anything overwhelming with a bunch of buttons. Your blinker and wiper stocks feel very sturdy and solid. And then of course here, your cruise control. And then on the gauge cluster itself, it's a very simple layout. You've got your tachometer on the left, fuel gauge in the center, and on the right side, you've got your speedometer. All right, so moving into the center of the vehicle, starting off up top here, below those 2 vents, you'll find your hazard lights alongside your clock display. Below that is your audio controls. Now, this does look a little complex, and there is some getting used to how this works. So to start it off, you of course have your power button. You do have a CD slot here. And then with this button, this serves as the volume control. You could turn it up and down. If you press on that, when the vehicle is on, it will show in the screen here different audio settings. So, for example, adjusting the bass. With your directional pad here, this will toggle through the track of the song you're listening to if you're listening to a CD, or if you have your Bluetooth connected, which this does have. And then if your phone is connected with that Bluetooth, you can answer and end calls with this. Your presets for the radio, and then this dial here just selects what your audio source is. Now below that, you've got your climate controls. Everything is fairly simple. On the left is your one to choose where that air is coming from. To the right of that, in the middle, your adjuster for how strong the fan speed is, and then far right there is adjusting the actual temperature up and down. Love the simplicity of this. You've heard me say that before in previous videos if you've watched, but I just wish more vehicles were still this simple. Now down below that, you do have a small compartment here where you could maybe throw a phone. There is a cigarette style lighter outlet here. Your traction control button, as well as a USB and auxiliary port, is just off to the left in front of your gear selector. Behind your gear selector, of course, your handbrake and two decently sized cup holders. And then that armrest does open up and reveal a nice small compartment to store a decent amount of items. Now, the sun visors do flip down and out, and there's this tab here that slides out, which is always nice to have that extension. Now, one cool thing about this vehicle is this panoramic roof here. Now in the back, you pop this up, slide that forward, revealing that window up above, and same thing can be done with this one in front. Now this front one, of course, also is a sunroof. Your controls for that is just up front here by those overhead dome lights. All right, so getting into the back seat of the vehicle, you'll just pull on this tab here, fold that seat down, and if you need to slide that seat forward, of course, you just pull on the front of that seat, the release, and then you can hop on back. Now there's a good amount of space to actually get back here. Some of the better space I've seen to get into the back seat of a coupe. Now I'll move over to this left side behind the driver's seat, which is set to my driving position. And like I said, I'm 6'1", and this is honestly probably the best space I've ever had in a back seat of a two-door vehicle. My knees are not touching the back of this seat, which honestly happens in a lot of four-door vehicles for me. And I have size 14 feet. I typically have an issue getting my feet through the space between that front seat and the door pillar, and I didn't have that issue here. My feet fit comfortably under these seats. Even in the center seat, honestly, of course this seat is forward, but my feet fit here between the bottom of this seat and this center armrest. If I am in the center seat, then my head hits the ceiling here, so I probably couldn't sit here and I hit the glass. But with these two seats on the side, being bucket seats, I'm able to fall in here and be pretty comfortable. This is pretty impressive for a two-door vehicle. As far as features back here, there is no center armrest that folds down. You do have cup holders on either side, and then you do have your little coat hangers up above. Something like a RAV4 size or something.
Yes. Yep.
Nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just big enough, but nothing too huge.
Yeah.
And then I've been getting this idea to want to get an RV.
This sounds pretty good.
Do you like it?
The little four-cylinder sounds pretty good. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna put it into the sport mode now, I guess, where we're shifting our own gears here, and see how it does responding, how responsive it is, and quick those shifts are. So let's see, I shift now, and now the shift happens, so it's a little delayed, it seems. I shift now, and now it's the shift. So it's a little delayed. Probably better to just drive it in the auto mode, but you know, you could have a little bit of fun with it there if you're shifting. We'll see also as we get down here if it is the same response time on the downshifts or not. So a downshift now, and there's the shift. Downshift now, and downshift now. Downshift seemed a little better than the upshifts as far as the timing. So my thoughts on the 2013 Scion TC. I really like this car. You get a car that drives well, is a small commuter, but packs tons of space into a small package, both when it comes to storage space as well as for passengers. It's a kind of cool car and a little sportier than your typical economy commuter, and of course you get Toyota reliability. Now the owner of this one bought it brand new, and she says she hasn't had anything major come up service-wise. The car drove well, you feel bumps on the road giving it somewhat of a sporty feel, which is expected for a shorter wheelbase vehicle, but it's not uncomfortable by any means. Everything, as I mentioned during the tour of the vehicle, has held up extremely well. The seats were in great shape, all the electronics work, and it's just an easy vehicle to drive and should be easy to maintain, and it sounds pretty good too for what it is. And again, it's a little bit cooler than your regular Corolla or Civic from this time. The power felt fine for accelerating onto the freeway and was fun on the back roads without feeling like you need to push it more. You know, nowadays cars have gotten so ridiculous with horsepower numbers, and really you can't use anything that powerful and really get to enjoy it to its fullest on public roads, especially during a daily commute. So this was perfect in the sense that not only do you get good gas mileage, power is enough for a daily commuter, but it also sounds good. Now, of course, if you want a more fun version, you can get it equipped with a manual. This is an automatic transmission, and it gives you the option to change your own gears, but when I did do that, the shifts were a little bit delayed. I did look at ones for sale, and you see plenty of these with well over 150,000 miles, and those are $5,000 and under. There were two I saw under 90,000 miles that were about 11 to 13 grand. Now, two items I saw as common problems on these are water pump seal failure and excessive oil consumption, so those are items to be aware of if you're in the market for one. And as always, if you're an owner of one of these, please do leave a comment below letting us know what your ownership experience has been like. But again, a great vehicle in my opinion that won't break the bank, and it'll provide reliable transportation and good space in a small, easy to maneuver package. That wraps up the review of this vehicle. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already, so you're not missing out on other videos like this. I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers, so please help me get there. It does help the page, so it's greatly appreciated. And also, you can give us a follow on Instagram at Car Squad TV. I'll put the name here. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.